Welcome. You're tuned into Life is a Sacred Journey. Every week, we bring a new perspective to aging and caregiving. Here is your host, Micheal'S Pope. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the virtual neighborhood of Life is a Sacred Journey. I'm using this virtual background, so I'm not going to try to move around too much because I can see my earrings are disappearing and all of that. But I am off today, but I still wanted to come to you and go over I learned something this past weekend, and so I wanted to share it with you. Welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey. I am your host, Micheal'S Pope, and it is another Pondering Friday. I'm not going to be doing this live, but you're going to get this. And so I hope that your Friday is one filled with a lot of happiness and joy. And and I'm in my Zen mood right now. So I got my Zen background. So welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey, friends. I hope that you have woken up with a smile on your face. And today I want to talk a little bit about something that I learned over the last week. I want to share it with you. But this is for it's a mindful meditation called REST, rest. And it's a guided practice for tired and weary people, which we know caregivers are, and many of us that aren't even caregivers are, because we carry so much responsibility. And we're trying to do so much on a day-to-day basis. And so it was Rashid Hughes who I learned this from a book video that I saw for something that I'm learning. And so I wanted to share it with you because I thought it was right on for caregivers, particularly if you're a caregiver caring for someone that is living with dementia. One of the quotes that he made during the video was, "It's unrealistic to assume that our psyches are somehow magically separate from the ever-present social and political chaos that we are forced to exist in." And I just did a woman's retreat, facilitated a woman's retreat on hope. And that's what we talked about, a lot about that to think that that we're not being impacted by everything that we hear, or sometimes that we don't even think we're paying attention to, that it's not impacting us. It is. And it's impacting us with, sleeplessness, and just a great deal of trying to overcome stress, sometimes that we don't know where it comes from, anxiety, panics, depression, all of those things. So it's his other quote was, "It is essential now more than ever that we find ways to pause, to grieve." And that was one of the areas that I spoke about at the women's retreat, that some of us never take time to grieve losses of jobs, of friends, of relationships, of puppies, of kittens, of all kinds of pets, children. We just keep going. We grieve for a minute. We feel the pain so profoundly in its beginning, and then we move on to the next thing. We have a job. We have responsibilities that call us back into what we call real world. And the reality is, we need to connect with those emotions and those feelings, and we need to establish rituals of resting and being aware. And so Rashid Hughes is this incredible human being who practices mindfulness and believes in the fact that we need to stop. He particularly writes about the BIPOC community and how the hardships and some of the generational trauma is carried through, not just in family practices, but in the DNA of BIPOC
citizens. And so we want to talk about what's going on in the world today that's causing that for many of us. So those of us that are caregivers have the added um, piece where we're feeling okay, the global pandemic. I went to the doctor the other day and I had to get a COVID shot. And I said, well, when do I have to come back and get the other one? And he said, well, 2 to 6 months. And it was like 2 to 6 months. And then asked him, how many people are getting sick? And he said, even though it's not talked about a lot, there are people who are still getting sick from COVID, and it's just a different strain of COVID. There's more people who are vaccinated, so it's not being transmitted, or people don't get as sick, and then they have that other drug that you can take once you get sick with COVID that helps to with the fever, or if it's not fever, some people say now they're getting a scratchy, burning throat. But COVID is still with us. We're just not living in the pandemic parts of it, but we're living with the fear of getting it. On planes, I wear a mask on a plane or in crowded areas. When I went to the store the other day, I realized when I got in there that people were coughing around me, and I happened to have one in my in my pocketbook, so I put it on. So that's something I never thought in my life that I would have to end up doing, probably for the rest of my life, because COVID, it seems like, is going to be with us for a while. So we have COVID. We have a political situation that, again, this is not a political platform, so we're not going to go into it. But we are going to speak to the fact that there are a lot of social injustices going on right now, and people are angry, and people are doing things like calling the police on innocent people, and people are frightened to come out of their homes, take their children to school. Children are not eating. I just heard about a group of Latino children that have stopped eating because of their fear of being picked up, or their family member being picked up. And so there's just all this fear and anxiety right now in our world. I was trying to figure out the other day, why did I gain some of the weight that I gained? And because I'm not eating any differently than I did before. And it's stress, it's cortisol, all of those kind of things that are out of whack. We talked a little bit about that last week. And so, how do we get into a place of rest? And if you're an addict caregiver, your natural rhythm of how you're living your life is kind of cut, because you're not only thinking about your own health and your own stress. If you're working, or you're stressed about your home, your finances, what you're going to do, what's your plan for the future, caring for this person, but you're also carrying, you're two people, so you become you caring for you and everything that's happening with your body head to toe, but now you're carrying the responsibility of another person head to toe. And until you walk in a person's shoes that are doing that, you have no idea how awful and how overwhelming that can be. We do try to speak about the non-doom and gloom areas of caregiving here on Life is a Sacred Journey, but we're acutely aware from our own experiences that caregiving is not an easy thing to do, and it can be not rewarding, and it can be overbearing, and it can chew up your life in a way where you just feel you cannot rest, you cannot focus. You feel like your life has been put on hold. And then your health and issues and challenges become more, uh, they just become incredibly put to the side. You put them to the side for the care of the person that you love and sometimes don't love, because not all caregivers are caring for somebody that they love in their family. They may be caring for somebody because they're the only member of the family left, or they're the closest person to them. And so there's this whole part of caregiving that we sometimes don't talk enough about, and maybe we should a little bit more here on Life is a Sacred Journey. But I want to talk about rest today. So R stands for is for relaxation, relax your attention, and release. So R actually stands for release, but in order to do that, you have to relax your attention. And I really understand this piece of the rest meditation. Was the most difficult thing for me to do was to relax my attention from my job previously. I'm still not quite 100% there, but to relax in it, meaning accepting what was happening, accepting my role or lack of role in it, accepting the betrayal, accepting all of the things that went along with it. I had to move to the space where it's like, okay, that's just the way it is. So I had to relax my attention to the doom and gloom pieces of it, and to the pieces of it that were dragging me, just dragging me down, making it so I couldn't sleep, making it so I thought that all kinds of things that I was thinking about myself, instead of really realizing, well, no, that's not exactly, it wasn't you. It wasn't you. You, even though the lack of acknowledgement of everything that you put forth, you don't have to really wait for somebody to acknowledge that. You have to acknowledge it yourself. And that's the same thing as caregiving. People may come to you and say, I would never have done it that way, or it should be done this way, or why did you make that decision? Well, if they weren't there in the trenches with you and didn't understand, where you were when you made that decision, then they shouldn't, as I always say, they don't have a dime in the quarter. But boy, does it hurt when you hear it coming at you, and you have to find a way to relax your attention from there so that you can release. The next is E, is for exhale, all striving, and that means empty. So E for empty, but also to exhale, all striving. We suck in air, we suck in all the pain and the grief and everything that we're doing, striving to be the best we can be, striving to be acceptable to all these other people who think they have an opinion about how you must behave, look, see, and be. And you have to empty yourself of that. Empty yourself of that. As long as you're not doing harm to anyone, deliberately trying to hurt the person that you're caring for and giving it your best shot, then you have to exhale all of that striving to be, the perfection. And because nobody really knows what perfection is, we make it up as we go along. And every year of my life, there's been a different model of perfection. So I've seen a lot of perfection, supposedly, but we need to exhale all striving and empty. S stands for the sense, the sense of silence. Man, the sense of silence. And then it stands for surrender. Surrender. There goes that East Coast accent, surrender. But silence first. How do we get to a place where we are silent? And meaning that we're silencing, the voices in our heads, the voices in our hearts and spirits and souls, the voices of outside people that we hear. We keep hearing them. We keep hearing those voices, and we're wondering, where are they coming from? Why am I feeling this way? And so silence. And silence to the point where sometimes you have to just close your eyes and take a deep breath and keep taking deep breaths. The other day when I went to the doctor, I was able to get my blood pressure down by 10 points from the first time they took my blood pressure to the second time, just by breathing and focusing on the number that I wanted it to be. Because it was a little high when I walked in there, because I have white coat syndrome. I hate going to the doctor. I'll go, but I hate going. And it creates this anxiety in me And I guess that started from, I didn't used to be that way, but when I got diagnosed with cancer, and it wasn't the form of cancer, it was curable, but the reality is I was diagnosed with it. And from that moment on, going to the doctor only means that I'm not going to hear any good news. So I hate going, but of course I heard good news this time. Except for she agrees with me that I still need to lose some weight because I gained like 10 pounds that I don't know where it came from. So we agreed upon, but I'm talking about something that's more life threatening. And this time I was in there at an age where I was concerned about my cognition, and she told me that when they did the MRI and all of those things to my brain, everything looked good. That the white matter that I have that in my brain is at the right level for my age and all of those things. So, but how do you silence all that when you're in the car driving to the doctor, or when you're driving to the place that you're going? How do you silence all that stuff before you get there so that you're not a wreck? It's breathing. It's breathing, my friend. So silence and surrender, and then surrendering to the breath, which I love the way he talks about it. Surrendering to the breath means understanding that there's a natural quietness that is inside of you that you can get to if you just open the portal to it. And I'm using the word portal, so I hope I don't scare any of you, but open the door, open the window to it. And that means silencing your environment when you're trying to be in that kind of meditation. I've been doing that a lot lately. I actually do it when I'm on a walk. I have headphones that most of the time I do wear. I can hear everything around me. These are great headphones that my daughter bought me. But there are times that I have them, but I don't turn the music, on my cell phone, I don't turn the music on. And I just, do a good 30 minutes of just silence, hearing my heartbeat, talking to myself sometimes, um, out loud, or saying hello to the ancestors, but real silence means I'm not even doing that. I'm just walking and just feeling the breeze and seeing the trees and watching the birds and just being in that surrendering to the natural forces around, seeing other people and being dependent. And again, he writes, which I love, this silence is not dependent on the ceasing of external sounds or any thoughts and feelings. We can sense the silence of the mind during all experiences, no matter how intense. So he feels that you can do it even if you're not completely silent. The silence, he says, sensing means becoming aware of everything that's around you, your presence, everything that's in your area. You want to be around it and know that it's there, it's happening, and being in your element, as they would say. And the beach does that for me. And I try more. So you want to exhale. You want to sense the silence. You want to surrender. And then the last is the T, is that you want to tune into awareness. And the word is trust. So the T calls you to trust your personal experiences that you have become aware of in your life. And when you tune in to the awareness, it's almost when I became a parent for the first time. I didn't know anything really. I saw things and babysat people, so I had some idea of what it was. But the reality is, you learn as you go. And so I learned things. I watched the rhythm of the child, and and learn from that child that they didn't like this or they like that, or what time it was the best time for them to eat or to take a nap or to go for a walk. You just being in tune and awareness, and then trusting yourself that you're doing the right thing, and not beating yourself up when that thing that you did wasn't quite right. As long as, again, nobody is emotionally or physically hurt. Sometimes we make mistakes, and sometimes even when there's an emotional or physical hurt that happens, we have to go back and first of all forgive ourselves if it was not intentional, and then we have to ask forgiveness of the other person. And sometimes that's hard to do, particularly if the person has dementia. How do you go back and say to them, oh, I'm so sorry. I yelled at you. I had a rough day, and having to wash feces off the bathroom wall that you put on the wall just was the last thing that I could think of. Or the fact that you put your shoe in the refrigerator, or whatever it was that was a manifestation of their Alzheimer's or their dementia behavior, when they yelled at you because they were going through something. So you have to tune into your awareness and trust that you're doing the right thing. And being aware is an effortless experience. You have to just be aware of what's going on around you. And when you're aware, you're also being aware with the person that you're caring for, or your partner, or your children, or your grandchildren, or your friends, or the individuals that you share the planet with. You're just a little bit more aware. You're using active listening. You're more in tune to the environment and what you feel from other people, as opposed to what they're telling you. You use less audible language, and you're more in tune to how people are moving around you and the energy that they are expelling. So it's not frou-frou. This is real stuff. And the fact that we haven't learned it at young ages and take it into our lives is the very reason that we are finding that now we didn't make it through the pandemic very well as it relates to a mental health perspective. So a 12-minute guided meditation for the REST, which is release, empty, surrender, and trust. And again, this meditation was introduced by Rashid Hughes, Guided Meditations, and it was in the Mindful magazine in February 2024, if you want to go back and find it as a resource. It's not mine. It belongs to, so that's my disclaimer. And so it's a 12-minute guided meditation. And you have to also, find a comfortable posture of your choice, a comfortable space. This could be sitting, this could be standing or lying down, which whatever works for you. If you choose, you can keep your eyes open. A lot of people don't like to close their eyes, but you can keep your eyes open and let your gaze rest somewhere lowered at some point in front of you. And if you choose to keep your eyes closed, you need to rest your eyes, and it's not closing them like this. It's just closing them with a gentle, a gentle closing. And then you set your intention toward relaxing and effortlessness, which is sometimes hard to do if you're somebody like me that likes to be putzing around all the time. But set your intention. It's 12 minutes of your life that you're giving to yourself, and you deserve it. And if you can't give yourself 12 minutes, wow, what we've done to humanity is an abomination. And whenever you notice yourself shifting into doing or thinking, simply return back to your original intention and breathe, right? And breathe and begin again. I've had to start over and over again. There are some moments when I start my meditation where I have to start that 12 minutes 3 times before I'm able to execute it. And usually I go beyond 12 minutes because then I'm once I get into it, I'm able to relax and pay attention. Relax your attention. Release any fixation that you may have on any object. Be as ordinary and natural as possible. If you notice that your attention becomes fixated or distracted, simply relax. Exhale all striving, empty yourself of any effort toward achieving a particular outcome or result. Remain open and accepting to the present moment and let your experience be as it is. So, whatever it ends up being, let it be that. It's no big deal. Sense the silence and surrender all attachments to what you notice and feel the intuitive sense of silence within you. And be aware of the silence and feel the vastness of the silence. Tune in to awareness, which means recognize that you are naturally aware and you are conscious of this awareness. Trust this effortlessness, knowing, and silence, that there's nothing to do and nowhere to go, just rest. And when you are ready to end the practice, gently bringing your attention to your surroundings and invite simple movements to your body. Stretching. I am, as I told you, I am doing more stretching now. And I don't want to say it too loud because, and I humbly say this because I don't want it to come back, but my sciatic problems have almost, I mean, they really have diminished, if not disappeared. The stretching has made such a big difference to my physical health. And going to, I go to Curves. So, and I was started with 3 days a week. And now I'm up to going every day except for Thursday and Sunday because they're closed on Sunday. So I'm going 5. There's 7 days in a week supposedly, if you believe that calendar. But I'm getting that in, and I do. The circuit is two circuits. You do it twice, and they're 15 minutes. It's usually about 15 minutes the first and 15 minutes for the second. So it's 30 minutes. And then I do an extra 15 minutes for 45 minutes. So I do 3 circuits, and then they have a stretching machine that I go to. So there are not a lot of them left because during the pandemic, it's a franchise, they're privately owned, and so they didn't make it. But I'm fortunate that the one near me, it's not too far from me, about 10, 15-minute drive. And I could walk, I guess, if I wanted to, but it's pretty far. But it takes less amount of time to walk. So if you are a caregiver, try to find a way to cope with the stress of caregiving. It is very difficult. Here at Life is a Sacred Journey, we will continue to find authors and we will continue to give you tips. But you gotta take care of yourself. Somebody said to me the other day, and I used to always say this, and it's now everybody says it. You got to put your oxygen mask on first. That's the first thing they tell you when you travel with a small child or somebody who you think you may need to assist. You put your oxygen mask on first so that you are alive and able to support the person that you love. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't be with you live this morning, but I hope that you will write in the chat and continue this conversation with one another. I hope that you will hit the share button and help us to build. We're growing, which is really fabulous, and we need you to go to YouTube and watch a couple of videos or subscribe and write some comments there as well. So Felicia and I thank you for everything that you do to help Life is a Sacred Journey continue to come to you every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Coast time. And I pray that you have a wonderful weekend. So go out there into the world and be the best person that you can be. But if you are someone that is right now living with anxiety and stress to the point where you're just feeling like you just don't know what to do, what your next move is going to be, and you want to unlife yourself. you can't use other terminology, I was just told. Then dial 988 and get some support and help from the wonderful people that are trained on the other side of the phone, and they will get you the resources that you need, the support that you need, and take a deep breath and know that yes, life sucks sometimes, but it also has beauty in it, and it also has people in it that are good people, and if you make it through one moment and one second, one moment, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 month, and 1 year, with the support of the community that will surround you, then you'll make it. You'll make it. So all of us here at Life is a Sacred Journey care and want you to know there are resources out there, and we want you to make it to that next second, and next minute, and that next hour, that next day, week. We want you to we want you to feel life, and we want you to feel the joy of it. So we pray for you and hope that you will dial 988. Find somebody with a phone and ask them to help you out by dialing it for you or texting it. And if you find a tree, go out and hug a tree, pet a cat, pet a dog. You know what I pet the other day? A snake. Not a really cool experience for me. It was interesting. It was interesting. I'll put it to you like that. But hugged a lot of trees lately, and have really enjoyed. Yeah, that's been a really cool experience for me. So thank you so much for coming to Life is a Sacred Journey. We hope that we are supporting you as caregivers, as people who are aging in place and living an incredible time in your life, that we're helping you to see how magnificent and wonderful that you are. And we'll see you next Friday here. We'll see you next Friday at Life is a Sacred Journey, 8 a.m. Friday morning. See you then. Peace.